I now invite Professor Michael Rowan, Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Vice-President of the Division of Education, Arts and Social Sciences, to present Dr. Pam Ryan, Managing Director, Issues Deliberation Australia, for the Honorary Award of Doctorate of the University.
Chancellor, after education in her hometown of Broken Hill, Pam Ryan studied psychology at the University of Adelaide and went on to earn her PhD from the University of Texas. She researched and taught the psychology of decision-making, qualitative research methods, entrepreneurship, organisational behaviour and politics, which interests have become more recently and more importantly the foundation for her action as a global citizen and international social actor. Dr. Ryan is chair of the Silverton Foundation, a private family foundation based in Austin, Texas, and founded in 2000 by Dr. Ryan and her husband. The Silverton Foundation is dedicated to empowering disadvantaged people through educational, health and social services, with programs funded in Australia, Ethiopia, Vietnam, East Timor and the USA. In many of these programs, Dr. Ryan has not just provided funding through her foundation and leadership in the design and management of projects, but has been at the front line providing counselling and other services to people suffering the trauma of war, disease and nature's fury. I cannot hope in this brief address to do any justice to this work, so I encourage you all to Google the Silverton Foundation. You'll be amazed. The reports of their work reminded me of those wonderful words of the great anthropologist Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, nothing else ever has. Dr. Ryan has shared her time between Australia and Texas for almost 20 years. In 1998, she founded Issues Deliberation Australia, America, and has been its managing director since its inception, leading the team of psychologists, sociologists, researchers and over 100 volunteers to ensure the success of numerous political and public policy projects, including a national deliberative poll on whether Australia should become a republic, reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, and most recently, relations between Muslim and non-Muslim Australians. Also, the Economic Growth Summit and Constitutional Conventions on parliamentary reform for the South Australian Government, and on whether to adopt a Bill of Rights for the ACT. And finally, a cross-country comparative study of voter behaviour in Australia and the US. There have been research and event collaborations with both the Hawke Research Institute and the Hawke Centre at UniSA, including support for the deliberative polls, and both of the entities at UniSA have greatly benefited from the association. Perhaps well known as Dr. Ryan's most recent deliberative poll in March 2007, which brought together 340 Australians from all over the country and from all walks of life, with 40 Muslims, all of whom had participated in earlier focus groups. After the event, an opinion poll found a dramatic drop in concern about Muslims in Australia, following the detailed discussions about terrorism and other issues. An Australian premier documentary screening of Beyond Beliefs, Muslim and non-Muslim Australians Deliberate, was jointly presented with the Bob Hawke Prime Ministerial Centre and supported by the Equal Opportunity Commission last year, and 800 people attended that event in the Town Hall in September. In March 2005, Dr. Ryan founded Psychologists Without Borders as a direct outcome of the first International Assembly on Managing the Psychology of Fear and Terror. That unprecedented event brought 90 of the world experts on fear and terror to Austin, Texas, to collaboratively build strategies for global, national, local and individual application. In May 2005, Dr. Ryan joined a team of psychologists from Israel, Australia and Texas for a Psychologists Without Borders pilot project in Sri Lanka doing tsunami relief work. And the same organisation was involved in planning similar mental health work for survivors of Hurricane Katrina in the US. Dr. Ryan is co-founder and co-author of Board Women, an international program to assist women to serve most effectively on boards of directors, both private and public, and she has enjoyed various board appointments, including a term on the Premier of South Australia's Council for Women. Dr. Ryan is a research fellow of the University of South Australia's Hawke Research Institute and a research associate of the Research Associate of the Edward A. Clark Centre for Australian and New Zealand Studies at the University of Texas. Dr. Ryan's most recent research projects include an Australian National longitudinal study focused on psychological responses to the effects of terrorism on well-being. Dr. Ryan is a model of the things the Vice-Chancellor spoke about as to what makes a good life. Indeed, she is an inspiration to all of us who wonder whether there is anything we might do with our good fortune other than merely increase our rate of consumption. When writing this brief address and reviewing Dr. Ryan's contributions, I was reminded of that philosophical conundrum we teachers put to our first-year students. What happens when an irresistible force meets an immovable object? It became clear to me the answer is, it depends which of the two is Pam Ryan. Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to present Dr. Ryan for the honorary degree of Doctor of the University.
On behalf of the University of South Australia, I confer on you, Pam Ryan, the honorary degree of Doctor of the University. And it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Ryan to deliver today's occasional address.
Thank you, David, and thank you to the University of South Australia. We have indeed a long association over the last 10 years, and much of our work would not be possible if it wasn't for that association. But the main reason I'm here today is for all of you. And I just have to say, how lucky am I to be here to rejoice with you on the beginning or the next chapter of your lives. It has been an incredible gift for me to reflect back on my own life and the things that I have done since I was wearing my original cap and gown, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree exactly 30 years ago. And I was shocked to realise that it was 30 years ago because time has really flown. And flying, or more specifically magic carpet flying, is what is going to be my theme in talking to you today.